Dear students, let us start today the discussion on 11th March 2016 newspaper. Now the first article is related to the real estate bill, and Rajya Sabha has passed this long awaited real estate bill, and opposition and ruling party both unanimously are on the same page with regard to real estate bill. Now what it provides for? According to this, in every state, there will be a real estate regulatory authority. Any new project has to be registered with the real estate regulatory authority. The construction company, real estate agents, everyone shall take registration with this authority. Any issue that has come before the authority, it has to be disposed of within 60 days. Now, 70% of the money paid by the customers, it has to be kept in a separate account and used only for the construction purposes. In case of any change necessary for the plan, construction plan, 2/3 of the users, allottees, shall agree to that particular plan. Now, any structural defects that exist, these structural defects are the responsibility of the builder for the 5 years after sale of the property. Now, in this case, what are the objections to it? The first, it has been said that land is a subject in the state list. To what extent Parliament is authorized to make a law on this subject? So it was clarified that the regulation of contracts, transfer of property, these are in the concurrent list. So in this case, so it is not the subject on the land, it is about the regulation of property. So it is very much valid and Parliament can make the law. The most important development is previously this law was applied only to the sites greater than 1000 square meters and minimum of 12 apartments. Now it was reduced to 500 square meters, minimum of 500 square meters now. So these are the developments. Even commercial properties are also brought under the bill. Now coming to the new pricing policy. Now we all know that recently the exploration policy was announced to rectify the mistakes. So what was this exploration policy? It is no more the profit that will be guiding. It is the revenue sharing which will be a force that will be guiding. Previously, when profits were guiding, what was happening is there was a lot of disputes in determination of what are the actual expenditure and what was the profits between the explorer and the government. Now, explorer will pay a fixed revenue to the government for unit of oil explored. And previously, separate licenses are issued for gas, oil, etc. Now, in a particular area, one developer will get a unified license. And added to that, the choice of the blocks will be chosen by the developer himself. So, these are the three things which are previously mentioned. Now, the new pricing policy is for the hard to reach deep gassy fields. Here it is based on an average of three things. What are the three things? One is imported landed price of fuel, naphtha, and we have this a coal, that is imported coal. So the imported average price of these three things, it will bring in something called as a new, comes under the new pricing. They will determine the new price. Now, public sector banks. We all know that asset quality review has hardly hit the public sector banks' profits. But however, it is bringing into open the intensity of the problem in India. So in this context, certain steps were taken by the government which are seen as, very progressive. One is the government's role has to be reduced in the management of the banks. There has to be an arm's length distance. A bank board bureau will be established for this purpose. This banks board bureau, it is going to independently function with regard to the appointment of the directors at the bank level, and there will be an arm's length distance between the government and management of the bank. And recently the former CAG Vinod Rai, he was appointed as the chairman of the bank board bureau. And added to that, banks to start their functions on a fresh slate, asset reconstruction companies will be established and the bad loans will be transferred to them. So in this case, 100% FDI is allowed now in the asset reconstruction companies. In the present budget, 25,000 crores of capital is also infused into the banks. And added to that, so to increase the recoveries, bankruptcy code, the government is about to get it passed in the parliament. All these are the positive developments to revive the banking sector. And coming to the polluting plastics, a problem to this, a solution has finally come to this problem. So now, plastic is a polymer, and this plastic accumulates and its life cycle is very high. So this polymer has to be broken down into a monomer through hydrolysis. So a bacteria was discovered by the Japanese scientist that is called Idionella sakiensis 201F6. Idionella sakiensis. So what it does is, the plastic is a polymer called as PET, and that is called polyethylene tetraphthalate. It will break down into ethylene glycol and terephthalic acid. So it means a polymer is essentially broken down into a monomer. So what the accumulating plastics, probably it can find a solution. And coming to Azadi from the colonial rule book. Now, we are the Indian Penal Code, Indian Evidence Act, Criminal Procedure Code, Civil Procedure Code, all these are the colonial laws. And Britishers made these laws to an environment where a ruler-subject relationship is defined. Today we have a constitutional law. So in this constitutional law, we shall have laws that align to the constitution. So if you take section 377, that criminalizes the sex against the natural order, 124A sedition, 298A insulting of a religion, 153A developing enmity between the groups. All these provisions of the IPC, one way or the other way, have led to the conflict in India and misuse against the freedoms of the individuals. So because of this, these have increased the burden on the courts, and courts have the responsibility now align these Indian Penal Code with the latest, our provisions of the Constitution. Actually, this job very much falls into the legislature's domain. So in this case, what it is recommended is this: India shall take a comprehensive view of the Indian Penal Code. It has to look into all the provisions, and the Constitution has to be realigned for this purpose. So this is what is being spoken about. Sorry, the IPC has to be realigned to the Constitution. So the constitutional values of individual autonomy, freedoms and equality have to be upheld. In this logic, these laws have to be re-looked into. It is not new. Even in UK, the justice law is passed, that is Criminal Justice Act. It has revamped the penal code over there. Indian legislature also can take overview into this, and the precision in Indian Penal Code which is existing, it shall not be lost. At the same time, constitutional value shall be brought into. So this have to be taken up. And remaining all is not necessary for GS. Don't try to get into how criminal law deals with men and women, how it differentiates between them. This is all not necessary for our GS. Only Indian Penal Code, how to align that with the GS is more important for us. Now coming to the LGBT rights. Now in India, the major discourse of majority and minority, it was centered around only on the religion. Now, it is again this religion-based discussion, it was a construct of the West. So in this case, Amartya Sen says, every individual has plural affiliations, multiple identities. So you can extend this majority-minority relations or majority-minority argument to the from the religion to the sexuality to the gender everywhere. So if we extend it to the sexuality and gender, then automatically we can have a situation where a comprehensive view of the rights of the people will be undertaken. So we have given the protections to the religion, but however section 377 delegitimizes sexual minorities. So in this context, when we extend our scope of discussion of majority and minority to the wider dimensions, automatically the rights will evolve in this country. That is what is the essence of this article. Coming to the money bill, you know that Article 110 of the Constitution defines the money bill, and Speaker is the final authority to certify a money bill. So in this context, in the recent Aadhaar bill, the government is taking the money bill route to get it passed in the parliament. As Rajya Sabha has less powers, obviously the government has no majority in Rajya Sabha, it can get the things passed through Lok Sabha. So, to what extent the authority of the Lok Sabha shall prevail over the Rajya Sabha in the case of money bill? Is speaker certification has to be final? To what extent speaker can get the authority of Rajya Sabha has to be undermined? A speaker is expected to take the cognizance of the definition given under the Article 110 of the Constitution for money bill. These are the new questions which are being posed in this particular context. Coming to the doping. Now, the essence of this is, now, any big fish and that catch has to be set an example to fight against a particular menace. This applies even to the corruption too. So, for fighting the corruption, doping, etc., at the ground level through small fishes, it will not create any deterrence in the system. And Maria Sharapova case is one such example where the law can be made, our system can be made trustworthy, saying it has got equality in treatment for small and big players too. So anything, it has to treat everyone equal. So this is about the today's topic. Let us discuss about yesterday's question. Now, India shall win the neighborhood first before playing a greater role on the globe. It means what India shall take up. Already, this is from the Suhasini Haidar's article. So, how India and China has to reconcile its differences. How India shall not appear as showing the high-handedness in the affairs of our neighbors. Our aid diplomacy, goodwill diplomacy with Afghanistan, how it is successful, and Bangladesh land boundary agreement, how it is successful. And the next is recent interference with regard to the Nepal issue and the fire back on that. And engagement with Pakistan. So all these things we have to talk about. And India has to play a bigger role in the global leadership, that is UN Security Council reforms, disarmament, climate change. All these topics also we need to discuss over here. So if you want to bring a light these particular issues, you need to first face these things. So first you win over your within India, and then with the neighbors, and then get onto the global leadership. So what are the global issues? What are the neighborhood issues? First handle this and then move on to further. That's how you can answer this particular question. Now, after inquiring with some 30 to 40 students who got to interview this year, I prepared a small questionnaire. And what made them to win the marks? So that's what I am trying to bring into discussion now. So it appears the simplicity of the answer, convenience of the examiner to read the answer is mattering the most rather than your real content. Keep it as simple as possible. I am now seeing certain people giving more importance to the jargon rather than to the real content and real simplicity in presentation. Be a layman, be an ordinary student and present the answer as simple as possible. It will give you very good marks. Just start the answer, mention 5 to 6 points and conclude the answer. Keep it as simple as possible. Thank you very much. All the best.